Breaking news, a TikTok mom has died after complications from a tummy tuck at age 47. TikTok creator Rachel Tussey, a 47-year-old mother of 3, has tragically died following complications from a tummy tuck procedure.
If you haven't heard the story yet, unfortunately it is heartbreaking. A 47-year-old mom went in for a tummy tuck and suffered a devastating complication after surgery. Rachel Tussey had been documenting her cosmetic surgery journey online. According to reports from her family, she experienced a severe complication that led to prolonged oxygen deprivation to the brain, resulting in a catastrophic anoxic brain injury. She was placed on life support, later transitioned to hospice care, and her family ultimately made the difficult decision to withdraw life support. The procedure she underwent is called an abdominoplasty or tummy tuck. It removes excess abdominal skin and tightens the abdominal wall. While it's commonly performed and generally considered safe, medically, it is still a major surgery. Complications can include bleeding, infection, wound healing problems, fluid collections, and even blood clots. Rare but serious events can also occur during or after anesthesia, including cardiopulmonary complications. Most people undergo cosmetic surgery without life-threatening complications, but stories like this are a reminder that even elective procedures still carry real medical risks, which is why understanding those risks and having proper monitoring after surgery does.
Show yourself, and then show what almost killed you.
Part 2 of how I almost died from plastic surgery in Tijuana twice from the same surgery. I end up getting to the hospital for the second time now, and I tell them everything I just had done. I have draining tubes, and my ears are ringing, my head is pounding, and also Tijuana didn't give me any pain meds or anything like that. I don't know if that's normal. I figured they would have. They did while I was in the hospital with them, but not when I left. So I was struggling a little bit too, so I was like, I don't know what's normal, whatever. And it was a lot of surgery. Anyways, they come back and they're like, okay, yeah. So real quick, if you wouldn't have come in today or the next day, this is the doctor speaking to me, mind you, he's like, I don't know how much longer you would have made it because you were losing way too much blood way too fast. So my hemoglobin had dropped to 5.6. If anybody knows, a normal hemoglobin should be anywhere from like the 11 to 15 range for a grown adult. A little less for women, closer to 11, 12 range, I do believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. But anyways, and so with how fast I was losing blood, he told me if I had not come in, he does not know how much longer I would have made it. So I stayed in the hospital for about 5 days. I got 2 blood transfusions, and they actually took very good care of me, and it was great. But just please be aware, if you're going to go out of the States to have surgery, that bad things can happen. I will say that was pretty much the only bad thing that did happen. Is it pretty scary? Of course, it was my life. But other than that, I did have an encapsulated breast. There was a few things that I needed fixed still. But here's where the next story comes in. If you're still interested about the Miami story, because I just went to Miami last July, that was a shit show in a whole other way. So if you want to hear that story, let me know, because that had a whole other set of complications and something that a California girly never expected, and I don't think most people would expect to be legal. So let me know.
Have you ever wondered if a tummy tuck is really safe, or if the risks are much bigger than social media makes them seem? Today, we're looking at real tummy tuck complications, recovery stories, and the life-changing risks people say they experienced after cosmetic surgery. You scroll through social media and it looks simple.
So let's talk about how my tummy tuck killed me. I had done all my research, gone to a few consultations already, met a few doctors, picked the one I wanted. I'm assuming that everybody that has a mommy makeover sits there and goes through every picture on TikTok and Google. I sent pictures of what I wanted to my surgeon. I was very excited about it, as anybody is that's getting a mommy makeover. The things you go through. So March 4th comes, the day of the surgery, day of doom, and I am laughing with the anesthesiologist. This is the day that's going to change my life. I'm just beside myself with excitement. We've been counting down. Little did I know. So I get the surgery done. It's a 9-hour surgery, and they don't keep you long. I went home an hour after that, and my sister came and stayed the week with me so my husband could still go to work. So she was staying with us that night, and when I got home, I was in great spirits, and probably still a little doped up, and stuff started wearing off, so I was hurting pretty bad. They got me laid down finally, and about 1 or 2 in the morning, I wake up, I can't remember a lot of this. I don't remember how I got to the bathroom. I do remember sitting on the toilet with the walker in front of me, and my husband was sitting in front of me, and I was like, I think we need to call 911. And I didn't really know why I was saying that. I thought I was being dramatic too, and he's like, you just had a 9-hour surgery, you're probably just dehydrated, like I think you're fine, you know? But my little sister has had some medical background and could hear my breathing change. So I don't know at what point she called 911, but I'm pretty sure it was before I even said anything about it. And thank God she did. So I start to kind of go in and I start talking crazy and going in and out of it. I eventually grabbed my husband by the shirt and get close to his face and said, please save me. And one of my eyes was a pinpoint and the other eye was, you couldn't even see the color of my eye anymore. And so, I mean, can you just imagine how traumatic this is for these people? So my sister greets, I live in a small town, and just a few miles down the road, the first responder lived, and so she got up and she was straight over there, and they had me on the ground, and she's like, okay, we're gonna have to start getting her clothes off because she's gonna need CPR. And my husband's like, what? She's like just dehydrated. You know, I don't think his mind could even fathom that is what was about to happen. And so they start to do that, and my sister goes to greet the firefighters at the door, or EMS, I'm not sure. And that's when she heard, like, we lost a pulse. So he drops everything and says, and runs and starts giving me CPR. So my husband is like out in the front yard, like losing his mind, trying to call his family. My little sister's trying to call my family, my friends, and let them know what's going on, because we know that like this is serious at this point. And so they get me back. You know, they come out, they're like, hey, we have her back. So my husband is like, oh, thank God, like that was over, that was scary, or whatever. And just a few minutes later, like, okay, we lost her again. So we're back, and now he's like, really? Okay. I mean, like twice, you know, what is happening? And you have to have a pulse for 10 minutes before you get into an ambulance, so you can know you can handle the ambulance drive. And so they're waiting. They get me back again. So I've been shocked at this point. I don't know how all that works, but I had CPR for a long time. I got shocked. Eventually they put the machine on me to pump. And so they come out there and tell them, okay, we got her back again. We've got to wait this 10 minutes and then we can go to the hospital. So wait 10 minutes. I stay strong and get me into the ambulance. And I have a heartbeat the whole ambulance ride up until we get to the hospital. And they start CPR on me again, and my plastic surgeon had already got there. He saw me getting CPR, and was like, oh God, this is like not good. So my whole family comes and shows up, and you know, they're all put in a room, and the doctor, puts them all in a little room and kind of tells them that like this is dire. Or hour by hour, the chances are very low that she's going to make it through this. And my heart had stopped again at some point in time while I was at the hospital. So 4 times I had to be resuscitated. 4 times that tummy tuck killed me. So the first thing I remember after, you know, seeing my husband in front of me was my eyes were closed and my whole body, I could not move it, but I could hear everything around me. And I heard a doctor or somebody say to somebody else, there's a 15% chance that she'll survive. And there's a 1% chance that if she survives, she's going to be the same Anna after this. So in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, like I cannot die. There's just absolutely no way. I got 2 boys. I'm the prime parent. Like there is no way that I can die. It's just absolutely not. I got to do what I got to do. And so people are like, hold my hand and tell me they love me. And the only thing I can move was my tongue. So I start sticking my tongue out to just show, like, I'm still in here, guys. Like, don't take my organs. I was really, a fear of mine was them taking my organs. And so I, you know, I think even when I talk to everybody that experienced it, time is just so jumbled together. So I don't know how long it was that I was out at first, and then woke up and was able to speak and was like talking to everybody and, you know, goofing around, being myself to a degree. Still very dire situation, even though I am talking. And what had happened was something called DIC, which if I try to to like actually say the words, I'll be wrong, but apparently I had all these little blood clots within my body when that happened from the trauma of the surgery, but also was wanting to bleed out. So, you know, my kidneys had shut down. I was on dialysis, and I needed blood, but I was allergic to the blood that they gave me, so they had to give me a different blood that had to be transferred from Charlotte, so it was a long ordeal. Well, they had me on a pain pump, and I'm like, okay, every 15 minutes, and I was so weak I couldn't push the button, so whoever was in there with me was responsible for pushing this pain pump for me, and I was like, I don't remember this, but I was in a lot of pain apparently, and the plastic surgeon comes in. He came in every day to check on me. He came in and was like, something is not right. Like, I was swollen and bloated and stuff, and I had not eaten, so he ordered an ultrasound, which prompted them to do exploratory surgery, and found out that I had a blood clot somewhere in my colon intestines area, and my colon had burst. And so they had to clean that out and put in an ostomy bag. So now we're back to square one. And I should say too that I had been intubated, got off the tube, and before they had to do this exploratory surgery, I was going to have to be put a tube in again. And I was terrified, and I was like telling my husband, please don't let them kill me, like this poor man. I was terrified because I shouldn't have lived through 4 CPRs. Like, I shouldn't have lived through 1 intubation. I should, all these things. I shouldn't have lived through it. And so I'm like, man, I was terrified. So they get done with surgery, and they come out and talk to my husband. Like, we're hour by hour again. She had a heart attack during that time. The bowel rupture. She's very, very sick. And so my family, they made a hotel in that waiting room. Now all of them stayed or got hotel rooms around the area and stayed. Took turns. I was never alone. I had a family member with me every single day because I seemed to get better care. And I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but I seemed to get better care when there was another person in there with me. And so at that point, I wake up again. And man, did I have some crazy dreams during this whole ordeal too. But I wake up and I don't know what has happened. So my immediate thing was like, did they take an organ? Like, did he accidentally take an organ from me? I was dead serious. No one was explaining to me what DIC was or what had happened, because in all honesty, no doctor.
Before and after photos, smiling recovery videos, flat stomachs, confidence restored, pause. But behind those polished posts are stories that rarely make the highlight reel.
Okay, here's part 4 of how I almost died after getting my tummy tuck in Mexico. So I board the plane. I'm on the plane. When I booked my flight, I made sure to get a premium seat, which is located right at the very front of the plane with a lot of room, because I thought to myself, I'm gonna have to be getting up, walking around. And I'm so glad that I did, you guys, because while I was in Mexico before I left, I spoke to my friend who's a nurse, and she said that I needed to be getting up every 30 to 45 minutes to walk to prevent blood clots. I was wearing my compression socks, so that's really good, but I still needed to be getting up to walk and make sure that I was moving to prevent these blood clots. I didn't feel anything weird on the plane. I felt fine. I didn't feel anything crazy, nothing like that. The only thing I remember feeling was really, really, really cold. And I think this was part of one of the symptoms of what was really going on with me. So we land in my city, and I request a wheelchair. So I was able to request a wheelchair. I get wheelchaired out and into customs. So I'm waiting customs and everything goes good. I go by and my friend picks me up from the airport. I go home, I rest for a little bit, and then I start spiking a fever. Now, the reason why I didn't go straight to the hospital was because I'd spoken to my friend who's a nurse, and she said you have to wait until you spike a fever again. because you have to come in showing some type of symptom. So I wait, I spike the fever again, and I tell my friend to take me to the hospital. So he takes me to the hospital, and I'm literally waiting in the ER, you guys, for like 2 hours. But my fever actually subsided while I was waiting in the ER. And I just thought, like, I was excited. I was like, oh, maybe like this isn't going to be as bad as I thought. So then they did catch the fever though, like when I was before I went into triage, and they kind of like checked me in. They did take my temperature and it was a little elevated. So they did catch it at first. So then I waited and waited and waited. 2 hours later, they call me back. I tell them what's going on. I see the doctor and I tell him what's going on. This doctor is instantly annoyed that I went to Mexico to get the surgery. He was like completely against it. He didn't make me feel good about it. He was kind of like a douchebag. So then I, of course, like the first thing that the hospital is going to do, they're going to draw your blood. So they come back and they tell me that my hemoglobin levels are low. Now, this specific doctor did not really tell me how severe my levels were. He just said, we're recommending a blood transfusion. So of course, I'm like, a blood transfusion? Like, I've never had that. I've heard crazy stories about blood transfusions. There's so many risks. Plus, the nurse that was there with me said that they have to stay with you for the first 15 minutes because they don't know if your organs are going to start to fail or if you're going to be allergic to it, yada, yada, yada. So I wasn't thinking that my situation was a life or death situation because this doctor did not explain it that way. He just said, your hemoglobin level's low. We're recommending a blood transfusion. So I'm like, well, I don't want a blood transfusion. There's so many risks. And then she's telling me over here that my organs can go into failure and I can be allergic to the blood. So I said, no, I don't want one. And I kept saying, I don't want one. I don't want one. I don't want one. So this doctor was like, okay, and didn't really push it that much. And then a different doctor comes in and he says, I heard that you're refusing a blood transfusion. And I'm like, yes, I rather just take iron or, do a different thing. So the doctor goes and says, in a serious ass voice, and looks at me straight in the face. And he says, if you don't get a blood transfusion, you will die in a few days. While my son is right next to me, he's bawling his eyes out. My mom is right next to him, and my mom's looking at me like, you're crazy. Why are you refusing a blood transfusion? And to me at the moment, I wasn't really registering how serious it was until the doctor said that I was going to die in a few days if I did not get a blood transfusion. So then at that time, I was like, oh, I didn't know that it was that serious. The other doctor kind of made it seem like we're recommending a blood transfusion because your hemoglobin levels are low. So I thought I had different options. And he's like, no, you literally don't have any other options. You're going to die if you don't get a blood transfusion. And now we're seeing some infection going on in my stomach because some redness had appeared by my incision and it was crawling up my abdomen. So he said, and if you
I'm officially in swell hell, as my friend called it. It's miserable. I am 7.5 weeks post-op with my tummy tuck, and let me tell you, since I've started working out, all I have done is swell. I have eaten so clean, so freaking clean. I have been sticking to all of my goals every day, and I am so swollen and bloated. Granted, yes, I know I need to lay off the sodium. That's my bad. I'm a salty girl, okay? But I cannot believe the level of swelling. It is uncomfortable. It hurts. It messes with your head. Like, you guys know, I am a pretty confident, positive body image type of person, and this is hard for me. So I just want you to know that if you've had a tummy tuck and you start working out, or maybe you're not working out and you're still just swelling, breathe, because this will pass. This is temporary. And it's not weight gain, it's inflammation and swelling. Okay, let's just say that together. It's not weight gain, it's inflammation and swelling, and it's normal. It's normal. Okay, that's it. We're fighting through. We're going to stay positive.
When I talk about it being uncomfortable after getting a tummy tuck as opposed to it being painful, what I mean by that is like your actual incision in your stomach is likely numb. Mine was. The incision's numb because they cut your nerve endings. I had the Exparel shot, so the rest of my stomach was numb for those very beginning days of healing. The discomfort comes from the swelling and being compressed, and it just is so tight, and it's like hard to breathe, and you just don't know what to do because you're just like, this is really annoying. Also, the discomfort of having drains. Drains are a nuisance. There's no getting around it. They serve a purpose. I'm happy I had drains. Some people get a drainless tummy tuck. Love that for them. Mine was not drainless, and my drain site got infected. That sucks. Totally uncomfortable. But just carrying those drains around, them being yanked a little bit from your body, does not feel good. The muscle repair, that does teeter pain. It's not a constant throbbing pain. It's when you do activity type of pain. So again, manageable. Also, your back spasms from being hunched over. I was only hunched over for a week. So it just like was what it was, but that doesn't feel good. And then lastly, I think I would say is like, you just can't really get comfortable. You can't get fully comfortable, and getting sleep is really hard. So it's just discomfort. All of it. Every single part of it is just uncomfortable. Does that all last for a long time? No. I say the first week, rough. The second week, still a little rough, and then it just progressively gets better. But that's what I mean whenever I say about discomfort. The pain though, I took Tylenol. Stay up on your Tylenol. You're going to be good, but you're going to be uncomfortable for a long time. So just buckle up. It's just uncomfortable, but like you're going to be okay.
Back in December of last year, I got a tummy tuck done and an umbilical hernia repair done, and some of y'all may have seen my other videos about it cost me my belly button. And fast forward, we are now in May. I still have no belly button, but May 14th was this past Wednesday. I had to go back in and get a repair done on my stomach. So I ended up ripping stitches. Very, very painful. At the top of my stomach, up here somewheres. Needless to say, when I was recovering for the first surgery, my mom's cat, I was at her house, her cat jumped up on the recliner that I was on, and she was at my feet, and when she jumped down, the I can't even talk. The recliner sprung up, which made me spring up as well, and I felt the pop up here. I felt it. I started crying. I told my mom, I said, the cat popped my stitch. The cat popped my stitch. Like, I was in so much pain. I was so mad because I knew she popped it. But anyways, when swelling and stuff went down, I went back to the doctor and I told him about what happened. And he was able to feel, and sure enough, it really did pop a stitch. I wasn't imagining it. And so that's where we're at now. Had to get it repaired up here. He was able to cut me somewhere in the middle right here and go back in and re-stitch up the top portion. My bottom portion was fine, thank goodness. So yeah, if anybody has ever had that happen, to get a repair done. Let me know y'all's stories. And I also want to add that this recovery is less extensive. This is day 3 now, and I'm able to almost stand up all the way. I have no drains. I still have binders. They gave me this one, and then this was my old one. I just put this one on top. I don't know. Extra support just because I don't want it to happen again. But yeah, no drains this time, which I was thankful for, because if anybody has had drains, they know how hurtful and painful they can be. But I'm able to do more things by myself this time around. Like I can sit, I can stand by myself, and I can get in and out of the bed by myself. So I'm very thankful. This is going to be less recovery, so I'm happy about that. But not happy that I had to repay to get this fixed.
The what about me-ism on this app is so wildly out of control now. I made a post yesterday because it was the 2-year anniversary of the tummy tuck that ruined my life, which was the title of the post. I can't even tell you how many people thought it was appropriate to come into the comment section to brag about how wonderful their results were. You cannot even tell your experience anymore without people immediately getting offended because they think your experience is a personal attack on their experience. My personal experience with my botched tummy tuck that left me traumatized and deformed was not a good experience. And this is why that's important, because when I was researching my tummy tuck that I waited 15 years to get, that was not an impulsive decision bought on a Groupon by the first surgeon that I Googled. It is extremely important to see both sides, because otherwise you are living in an echo chamber where everyone who gets a tummy tuck gets fantastic results, and this could never happen to you. Because guess what? The reality is it can happen to you. For some reason, they have to blame someone. There is no one to blame here. The surgeon is not to blame here. Board certified, top, highly rated surgeon in my area that I personally knew, people who used this surgeon and got good results. Not his fault. I did research. Not my fault. Had testing done beforehand. Did everything that I was supposed to do. I was a perfect candidate for this surgery, and it still happened. Why? Because it is a risk of the surgery. You sign the paperwork stating you are aware that this is a risk. But while you can be aware of the risk, it is completely different to be aware and to have it happen to you. To lose the weight, to do the work, to get in the best shape of your entire life, to finally make the choice to get the tummy tuck, to expect to have a butterfly moment because you're a perfect candidate, to have it go so wildly wrong that it triggered a relapse in your agoraphobia and you've been struggling to leave the house for 2 years, and just celebrated last week that I went to the grocery store for the first time in 2 years. So no, I'm not here to scare people out of getting a tummy tuck. I'm not here to sway your decision anyway. I'm here to share my experience so you know that there is a chance if you do get this tummy tuck that you can be a part of a very small percentage of people like myself who had a complication even though no one was to blame. The thing that no one wants to hear is that no surgery is safe. No surgery is safe. Every surgery is risky. Wisdom teeth surgery is risky. If you are being put under anesthesia, it is risky. If you are being cut open, it is risky. It is not safe. It is routine. Routine means it is done often. Routine does not mean safe, okay? So you need to stop coming in those comments and telling everyone it's safe, because it is not. Risks, complications, bad things can happen to anyone, can happen to healthy people. It is very important that you are looking at both sides of the story before you are making a decision that permanently changes your body. You can never go back. And I wish
my turn. I feel a big range of emotions, but mostly it is absolutely excitement and gratitude.
That is Rachel. She had a mommy makeover at a surgeon in her city, in her state, which she felt had a very reputable reputation. Fortunately, there was a bad outcome of this mommy makeover, and Rachel did not survive. God bless her soul. Being in healthcare, I try to be very unbiased and I try to be very non-judgmental, but there are a few things that have me very questionable about this case, and I want to talk about them. And then I want to talk about things that you should always ask your plastic surgeon when you're having or consulting for plastic surgery. And first thing, in regards to Rachel's case, it was said that when her husband went back, the nurse had just given her 150 of fentanyl as well as 0.5 of Dilaudid, which is still a lot of pain medication depending on her tolerance. Per the husband, he said that she was initially talking to him a little bit when he first walked in, but then she shortly stopped talking, lost color in her face. The nurse went and grabbed Narcan, did some BVM, gave her some oxygen, but ultimately called the plastic surgeon and waited for him to call back before calling 911, in which the plastic surgeon said, call 911. Things that scare me is that this nurse was probably the only nurse in recovery, which is an issue. And again, this is a speculation based on the story. I'm unsure, but this is a part of the questions you need to always ask anybody you're consulting for plastic surgery. God forbid if your heart stopped in recovery and you're the only nurse in the facility or the only medical professional and the anesthesiologist and the physician have left, you have no way to make sure somebody's giving her oxygen, BVM, and making sure her compressions are being adequately done. You should not be the only nurse in a recovery site. That's first. I'm not saying that that happened in this case. I'm saying in general, it's an issue. Second, is your recovery site or your surgery center accredited nationally and by the state? Did you hear what I said? Is the surgery center accredited? If it's not, you don't need to have surgery there. Who will be your anesthesiologist? I think people forget that your anesthesiologist, the person that puts that tube down your throat when you have procedures and keeps your airway intact and manages your vital signs, they are more essential than your plastic surgeon, okay? And you need to know who your anesthesiologist is, and you need to know their name, and you need to look them up. You need to see if they have any active lawsuits or anything of that sort. Your anesthesiologist is so critical. It is so crucial to your recovery, okay? And your procedure in general. If they say, oh, they rotate, sometimes we have different ones, I want the names of all of them that are approved and who could be there when I am there. Bad outcomes has he had from that? And he needs to be very transparent, okay? Because if he's a good plastic surgeon, he will not take offense in this question. You need to know if they have privileges at the closest hospital. And I don't mean your small little community hospital. I mean like your level 1, level 2, level 3 hospitals, okay? We don't need some small rural hospital that you aren't going to get any resources if God forbid something was to happen. And also, to piggyback that, you need to know how far that hospital is from your surgery center. You need to be asking how many licensed, registered nurses are caring for patients in pre and post-op, okay? And what is the nurse-to-patient ratio? You need to ask what emergency equipment do they keep on site? Do they have a code card? Are their nurses ACLS certified? Because if they have ACLS, that is a good sign, which increases the chance of your survival. And being so that there's complications that comes with any cosmetic surgery. Do they run emergency code drills, or do they have mock code and airway distress or airway arrest codes? Do they do those drills? That is very important. And if you want to be very thorough, the FDA has a patient decision checklist that you can print out and bring with you to your appointment and your consultation. And your provider should have no issue going over this with you. I'm also going to add questions at the end of this video that you can screenshot or share or save of things that me as a nurse that I would ask when I'm going to a consulting plastic surgeon. I have also had an abdominoplasty, and my physician sat with me for over an hour. He didn't care about who was after me, who was scheduled. He sat with me. He answered every single question, okay? Don't go and save a little bit of money. Saving money is not worth your life. Make sure you check them out. Make sure you look them up on the Department of Health, and you dive deep, okay? This is serious, and nothing is ever worth your life. And I know we always think that we are untouchable and it won't happen to me, but you cannot think that way, because at the end of the day, these are very serious surgeries, okay? So I want you guys to stay safe. Again, I'm going to put a checklist and
So I got a question not too long ago about what kind of problems I had during recovery or complications, and there was two really big ones. I feel they were big anyways, so I'm gonna share. So the first thing that happened to me within that first 8 days of my recovery was a problem with my drains. So one night I noticed they weren't working as well as they should be, and that was on the 7th day. I was like, oh, and then I see a dot on the drain, and I didn't see it before. And so I looked it up on Google, and I was like, if you could, and it said if you could see this dot, your drain's coming out. You shouldn't be able to see that. And I was like, shit. So I tried my hardest to make sure it stayed there, but sometimes these drains would drop, and that tugged on the drain. So I don't know. It was just so hard to keep, and it was my left one. Honestly, I think it was my body. My body's really sensitive, and it rejects almost anything and everything. I have a hard time with birth control. My body's very, very sensitive. So I knew those drains were not supposed to be there. So I felt like it was trying to kick it out as soon as possible. But so within the first 8 days, that drain started coming out, and it ended up just coming out. I was able to just pull it out. I pulled it out by myself because it was literally hanging there with no purpose. So I wanted the hole to close. I did speak with my doctor before I did it. And I mean, he wanted somebody to help me, but honestly, I'm just so impatient that I did it by myself. Don't recommend that. So that was one of the drains. Then it was all up to the other drain to drain as much fluid as it possibly could. And I want to say at almost, not even the 2-week mark yet, almost a 2-week mark, that one started to come out too. And I was really, really like discouraged because I was like, you know, when you first go into this and you go into your recovery, you think everything's going to be perfectly fine. You don't like, I don't know. I just wouldn't say I was prepared for this. I was like, this is not how it's supposed to go. I didn't think it was going to happen to me, but you never think it is until it does, you know? So that is what happened to me. My drains came out sooner than they were supposed to. At least my second one stayed in a little bit longer. I was really, really careful with that one. And then when that one was ready to come out, oh my gosh. So like the 14th day, I was like, can I get these out? I need them to come out because the right one was hanging by a thread. And literally this one was actually tugging on my skin. Like the stitch was still attached to the drain and my skin. So I honestly felt like it made the incision a hole a little bit bigger because it was like the weight of the drain was just hanging from that stitch, and it hurt so bad. So I could not wait to get that one out. And that one I actually had my massage therapist help me take it out because she was trained to do so, whatever. So that one was safe to take out. We took that out. We could drain a little bit from it, but not much. But yeah, that was the first thing that happened to me. And then I'll tell you the rest because I also had some stitches reject, so that was painful. And I'll tell you what we did for that in the next one.
I'm going to give you guys a crazy little story time, tummy tuck edition. So I am currently 15 days post-op, right? So let's go back 2 days ago, okay? Now, a lot of you guys may not know, but your drains that you have after a tummy tuck, Dr. Vu does not put the drains in your incision. Dr. Vu puts his drains in your concha. So if you don't know what a concha is, think about it. I just need you guys to think about it, okay? So you have your incision, right? And then you have 2 holes in your concha with tubes coming out of them, right? Why he does it like that, I don't know, but that is how he does it. So one night before bed, I'm laying and I'm like, I'm having the worst stinging, burning sensation. Like, I could not sleep. Like, it was the fucking worst pain out of this whole thing, right? Like I said, like, nothing really hurts. But that hurt. And I was like, why is my drain hurting? Why am I having so much pain? I don't know. So at that point, my friend and I were like, fuck it, like, let's look at it. Like, let's lay me down and let's see what is wrong with my drain. So the way it looked like it was starting to come undone. And I think the drain was pulling on my stitch. And I was like, okay, well, how do we fix this? We're like, fuck it, let's cut the stitch. So we just cut the stitch. And when I tell you, as soon as we cut that stitch and pulled the stitch out, instant relief. I was like, oh my fucking gosh. Like, there's no way that one little stitch was causing so much fucking pain. But it was. So we cut the stitch, okay? Went out about my day, had a good day, no pain, no nothing. I was good. And for anybody else, yes, I secured the tube down with wound tape. Like I put it on the incision or on the thing, whatever. So it was laying down, whatever. So it was good. So flash forward that night, I'm going to bed, I'm laying down, and I'm like, bro, like, why does it fucking hurt again? Like, it's hurting. And I was like, I don't know, like, fuck, like, I chat GPT'd it, and it said that it burns a little just because at night, you just have extra fluid down there, and, like, I don't know, just gave me a bunch of stuff that made sense. So I was like, okay, cool, like, whatever. I thugged through it the night, right? In the morning, I wake up, and I'm like, bro, like, it's stinging to the point where, like, I just can't move. So I tell my friend, I'm like, look at it. I move him to the side a little bit, and I'm like, oh my God, my drain is halfway out. Okay, maybe not halfway out, maybe I'm exaggerating, but my drain is out maybe like 2 inches. And I'm like, what the fuck? And like, if you guys don't know, like, the drain itself is like, it's like a little tube, right? like the outer part of it, right? Well, here you like that, but what is actually inside of you is like a thicker, like weird looking thing. So I'm burning because it's out, it's stretched, it's terrible. I'm like, oh my god, what do? I can't remove the drain because I'm still draining. I text my doctor, and my doctor's like, you can leave it, which hell no, it's fucking burning, or you can shove that shit back in. So you know what we did? And shout out to my friend because woo, we shoved that drain back in my concha. Y'all, oh my god, like it was traumatizing. Did not hurt as bad as I thought it was gonna hurt, but nonetheless traumatizing. So we secured the drain, and I secured it a little better this time, and now I'm just like, fuck it, I'm not doing nothing. I'm literally sitting my ass on this couch. I'm not fucking going anywhere. I'm not doing anything. I mean, mind you, the important shit like picking up the kids from school, but no, absolutely not. Never again. Like, it was a very traumatizing experience. But shout out to my friend because literally, you guys, like, real one. Real fucking one.
How many of you need to be unalived for you to stop doing cheap surgery in Turkey? I'll wait. You don't do your research. You run in because you just take pictures of IG model and show them and say, yeah, I want to look like her. I want to look like Jada Wader. And they say, okay, yeah, we can do that. Then all of a sudden you end up unalive because you don't even know how much previous unalive cases they've had. Do your research. Stop rushing to go Turkey with a $3,000 or doing payment plans on your body.
Some people describe waking up excited for what they believed would be a fresh start, only to end up in an ambulance, receiving blood transfusions, fighting severe infections, or spending days in intensive care. Others talk about drains coming loose, unexpected swelling, emergency surgeries, blood clots, and recoveries that lasted far longer than they imagined. Now here's the important part. These stories don't mean every tummy tuck ends badly. Millions of cosmetic procedures are completed successfully every year. But success stories shouldn't erase the fact that complications are real, even for healthy patients who researched their surgeon and followed every instruction.